Look, I don't know how to explain this without sounding crazy. But if you're here, listening, then maybe you're the kind of person who won't dismiss this outright. So just hear me out, okay? I run this podcast. Started it years ago. Just me and a mic. Talking conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, weird stuff you won't hear on the news. People call in. We talk about shadow organizations, number stations, mind control experiments, the whole deal. Some of it's nonsense, some of it, not so much. So last night, I was live, deep in a rant about cell towers being repurposed for surveillance, when my feed cuts out. Just like that. 1 second I'm talking, the next, dead air. Then, out of nowhere, the signal comes through. At first, it's just static, this low hissing sound that makes my scalp crawl. Then, voices. Dozens of them, all layered on top of each other. Some whispering, some screaming. It's chaos, but there's this rhythm to it, like a pulse. It peaks, then suddenly silence. And then, a voice. A woman. Woman. This is not a test. If you're hearing this, you still have time. Do not go outside at dawn. Do not trust the trucks. If they find you, you disappear. Static blasts through my speakers, this deep, pulsing tone rattling my headset. Then, nothing. I just sat there staring at my screen like an idiot. I checked my logs, my monitoring software. Nothing. The call didn't come through my switchboard. There's no record of it anywhere. The chat went nuts. "What the hell was that?" said user 338. Deep Truth 69 chimed in. "Dude, that sounded like an actual emergency broadcast." And then Mod Anarchy Wolf added, "Bro, you better check your IP. They're watching." My heart was pounding. I reached for my mouse, about to clip the audio, when my lights flickered. Then, my router reset. My whole system blinked off, except for my phone. A notification popped up. Unknown number. One new message. "You weren't supposed to hear that." I swallowed hard. My stomach felt like it dropped right through the floor. I stared at my phone, my fingers hovering over the screen. Should I text back? Call? Pretend I never saw it? Instead, I did what any idiot would do. I called the number. Nothing. Not even a dial tone. Just... That's when I heard it. A knock. Not at my door. At my window. Let me be clear. I live on the 3rd floor. No fire escape. No ledge. Just empty air and the glow of the streetlights below. I turned my head. Slow as hell. My breath locked in my chest. And there it was. A figure. Tall. Thin. Wrong. Like a stretched out shadow standing right outside my window. No features. No face. Just watching me. I blinked and it was gone. Just my own pale, sweaty reflection staring back at me in the glass. Then my phone buzzed again. Forget what you heard. I nearly dropped the damn thing. My gut was screaming, but my brain wanted to figure this out. Still, I locked my door, shut the blinds, and, for the first time in years, I killed the broadcast early. The chat blew up, people demanding answers, but I didn't care. I shut everything down, pulled the battery from my phone, sat in the dark, listening. I barely slept. When I did, I dreamed of static and whispers, of empty streets at dawn, of unmarked black trucks rolling through the city like sharks through dark water. By morning, my inbox was a mess. Dozens of emails. My DMs packed. Most were listeners freaking out, but a few were different. One was just a string of numbers, GPS coordinates. Another? You're already on the list. And then, the last one, from a name I didn't recognize. If you want the truth, come find me. I stared at the messages, my skin crawling. My fingers hesitated over the keyboard. I should let it go. Move on. But let's be real. I knew myself too well. I was already in too deep, and I had to know more. So, I did what any good conspiracy guy would do. I ran the GPS coordinates, pulled up a map, the location, middle of nowhere. Some abandoned gas station off a state highway I'd never heard of. Could be a trap. Could be nothing. But I knew I wasn't going to ignore it. I threw a bag together, flashlight, burner phone, an old revolver my dad left me. I wasn't dumb. Before I left, I took a deep breath, stared at my dark computer screen and whispered to myself, what the hell am I doing? Then I grabbed my keys, and I left. The drive out felt longer than it should have. Miles of empty road, my headlights cutting through the mist. The GPS kept trying to reroute me like it didn't want me to get there, but I wasn't turning back. When I finally saw the place, my stomach knotted up. It was one of those old roadside gas stations, the kind with a rusted out sign and cracked pavement. The windows were boarded up, but the door, wide open. I parked a little ways off, killed the engine, and sat there for a minute. My fingers drummed against the wheel. Everything in me said, this is stupid, but I was already here. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and gasoline. Every crunch of gravel under my boots felt too loud. I stepped inside. The place was dead silent. Dust hung in the air like it had been abandoned for years, but something felt off, like someone had just been here. Then I saw it. A radio, old military style, sitting on the counter. And next to it, a single sheet of paper. It had 3 words, scrawled in messy black ink. They are listening. Before I could react, the radio crackled to life. Static, then a voice. Woman, you need to leave. Now. Then the lights in the station flickered, and for the first time, I felt it. A presence. Something watching me from the dark corners of the room. I turned, heart pounding, and froze. A figure stood in the doorway. Not the shadow from my window, but something worse. A man. Dressed in black, face hidden behind some kind of mask. He didn't speak, just stood there, blocking my exit. Then he took a step forward. The man in the mask took another step forward, and my breath hitched in my throat. My fingers tensed around the revolver in my pocket, but I didn't dare move. The radio crackled again. The woman's voice, urgent now. Woman, get out. Now. I backed up slowly, trying to keep my eyes on the masked figure. But as soon as I moved, he lunged. I barely had time to react before he was on me, a blur of black fabric and cold hands. I hit the floor hard, my gun skidding away. He was strong. Too strong. His grip tightened around my throat, choking off my breath. Spots danced in my vision. Then the radio let out a high-pitched screech. The masked man recoiled, clutching his head like the sound was drilling straight into his skull. I took my chance. I kicked him off me, scrambled for the revolver, and fired. The shot echoed through the empty station. When I looked up, he was gone. Just gone. I sucked in ragged breaths, my hands shaking as I grabbed the radio. Who are you? Woman. They're coming for you. Run. Outside, the rumble of engines, a row of black trucks, headlights cutting through the fog. I didn't think. I just ran. I don't remember much after that. Just running. the cold bite of the night air, the distant hum of static that never seemed to leave my ears. Now I'm holed up in a motel, miles away, broadcasting on a burner setup. I don't know how much longer I have, but if you're listening, don't trust the trucks. Don't go outside at dawn. And if you ever hear that broadcast, run.